Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at MP materials. It is time for another update. And in the previous update, I have shared with you this idea of a trade setup, this idea of a 1-2 setup, where I have provided to you this support zone in green that extends down to $50.2, where we know that as long as we do not get a sustained break below the 78.6% retracement, we can still expect, with high probabilities, at least another 5 move to the upside. This makes for a quite compelling trade setup, because even from high levels of support, maybe the 38.2% retracement, maybe the 50% retracement, the current levels, we could be looking at a favorable risk-reward ratio while looking at a high probability to extend to higher prices, maybe just within a wave C. Maybe I'm looking to risk, let's say, 17%, 18% to gain potentially 40%, 50%, something like that within a wave C. It could do a lot more realistically even within a wave C. But this structure, this chart, from a larger time frame perspective, could do actually a lot more. There are a few different paths it could take, but if it has a bottom in within this low, it has done enough to be clear. I could be looking at this structure to potentially be building a wave 5 that could take us to new all-time highs. I could be looking for this structure to build a wave 3 in this movement to the upside, where this would have been a double 1-2 setup. All of these scenarios are possible, and we have the confirmation that a bottom is in, courtesy of this initial 5 move to the upside. So of course, this is an extremely compelling trade setup, because I could be looking at this to be a 10x stock from the lows of this structure, even from the current levels, to be realistic. I do not know that it will happen, but this is the trade setup, this is the premise that I am tracking, and this is what I'm looking for. And of course, I'm not here to share with you the exact same setup I have shared in the previous video. We have some new data to go through, because in the previous video, it was on the 14th of May. We would have just reached the first level of support of this structure. We have extended to lower prices since we could even have a bottom in, because from the smaller time frame perspective, I could perhaps consider this to be an internal initial 5 move to the upside, which would allow me to once more look for an internal 3-wave correction as a second degree confirmation that a more substantial bottom would be in within this low, and to look for the next 5 move to the upside, which is strongly expected to be a wave 3. For this idea, we have an internal support zone. Of course, we have this area in white down to $57.3. Of course, the same way we would be tracking the green area of support if we get a sustained break below the 78.6% retracement in white. We need to be prepared that the yellow interpretation would instead take charge, that we would get this full wave C that realistically could be just a reset within this wave 2 in green. We would have no problem still looking for this to be a valid opportunity, because I would still have only 3 waves to the downside even in this outcome. I do not know whether we will manage to reach those levels. The stock has pushed quite aggressively during the trading week to lower levels, already reaching the 50% retracement, and the move down doesn't need to stop here. No, it actually still has plenty of room to extend even lower. But this is not necessary, as per the white interpretation, where a more substantial bottom could already be in within the green scenario, where we'll be looking to already reverse in the wave 3. So we actually go into the smaller time frame, where I will be tracking the path to lower prices in yellow, because from the white interpretation perspective, I believe the correction could be complete. I do see a couple of ways we could be tracking discount, but there is of course risk, especially given the strength of this movement to the downside. So in the yellow scenario, I would have to consider it perfectly possible that this latest movement would have been the wave 3 itself. In such a scenario, I would need to watch out for this to be a potential 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and this is the first area of resistance I would be watching out for an indication where if we manage to get through the 50% retracement, we might have a more substantial bottom in, at least within this movement to the downside. I do have to warn you though, it is also perfectly possible that this would be a 1, 2, 3, where the larger wave tree would be complete, and I would still need to break even higher levels of resistance for a stronger confirmation that the white scenario is playing after all, because there are, once again, a few paths we could take to lower prices. Honestly, if we are to follow through in the yellow interpretation, I do prefer what I have already shared here with resistance up to $62.4, where if we get a sustained break above that, we need to change our expectations, the count we would track internally within this structure. But as a more generic area of resistance, I would actually need to break above these orange levels up to $65.4, and I need a sustained break above that. So unless we basically manage to break out of the white area of support, get through the orange resistance area, there would still be plenty of pressure to extend to even lower prices. The fate of this outcome is not decided yet. This structure is still very much developing, and we will have to give it time to play out. So for now, we will stop here. These are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content and want to support it directly, check out the channel membership, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.